Listen, thank you, Christy, for that wonderful introduction. And I want you to know, by the end of this, you're going to call me the cake man. And you'll never look at cake the same. So, first thing I want to do is I want to say thank yous. I want to first say thank you to Christy. I want to say thank you to Amanda and Melissa, the people you don't typically see. They're always behind the scenes making sure that they can do this for you. So again, I say thank you. Most importantly, I want to thank you, because you could have been anywhere in the world, but you chose to be here today. You probably thought you was getting free cake, but I'm sorry to tell you, it's not coming from me, okay? But on a serious note, icing on the cake. Let's get into it. When we think about icing on the cake, what most people don't realize is that the icing is what protects the cake. So if I look at icing as self-care, it's protecting me and it's stopping me from drying out. Some of us are burnt out because we don't know how to take care of ourselves. Some of us are burnt out because we don't understand what we need to do to become the people that we desire to be. So today, this presentation is going to be something that's going to remind you why it's important to take care of you. So I have some friendly reminders. 1, self-care is not selfish. It's actually the opposite. If you care about the people you love, you're going to take care of you. I'm going to say that again. If you care about the people you love, you're going to take care of you, because you can't pour from an empty cup. You wouldn't go days without charging your phone, so why do you go days without charging yourself? I want you to understand something. You matter. You matter. You are more than your title. You're more than just what you do at work. You're more than what you do at home. You as a person matter. And so you have to take care of you. So, as a little learning agenda, I want y'all to know, if you can't tell by now, I move around a lot. So if you get dizzy, raise your hand and I'll be still. Okay, 2, this is a safe space. This is our moment to just take the titles off and just be who we are as people. So if you want to cry, cry. If you want to laugh, laugh. Now I heard y'all had some disco music this morning. I can't compete with that, but you know, if somebody want to break dance, I can give you a little freestyle and give you a little beatbox. Because at the end of the day, I want you to know it's only us. Last but not least, I'm going to teach you how to include self-care in your life. Because we always talk about self-care, but do we really understand what self-care is? So, I got to start off the story with my great-grandma. You wonder where I get the cake from? My great-grandma, I believe, has the best cake ever. And I'm willing to bet that if she was to come up here and go against your great-grandma, my grandma going to win. And as I was going through this process, I asked myself, what makes grandma so special? Like, how is it that she can make these cakes without looking at a recipe? I never understood. And so what I realized that grandma was doing it so much, she didn't need anybody else. She didn't need anything to tell her what to do, because she knew her masterpiece. She knew her recipe, her masterpiece. Like, she knew what to do. And I want you to be so in tune with yourself that when you understand who you are as a person, you know what to do. When you're feeling broken, how are you going to get back up? Or are you going to rely on somebody else to get you back up? And so, grandma gave me my first real job. I was a test taster. I knew when grandma was in the kitchen, just sit right there. Oh, grandma, you want me to try that? And she'd hand me the little spoon and say, there you go, baby. And before you know it, I found myself smiling and enjoying this cake. But I never realized what I was really learning. See, grandma was so busy catering to us that she never took the time to enjoy her own cake. She never took the time to enjoy her own hard work. See, grandma would spend all this time with all these ingredients, and then she would go lay down and say, hey, y'all go ahead and eat. How many of us feel that way? We give all of ourselves to everybody else, and when it's time for us, we just want to go lay down. We don't know what else to do. You know, I told grandma, I said, hey, grandma, you mind if I share this picture? Because, grandma said, no, don't take no pictures of me, baby. Let's just my good side. So I had to let her know, hey, grandma, I got you. So I want to ask you, what's your favorite cake? I got any German chocolate cake lovers? Okay, I got a few. Red velvet. Oh yes, I knew they was gonna like red velvet. What about pound cake? Okay. Okay, any cheesecake? Okay. Oh, see, hey, now look, I'm gonna be honest with you. My favorite is cheesecake. All right. So I'm a big fan of Cheesecake Factory. And I go there so much, when I walk in, they know exactly what I'm gonna order. I walk in and say, hey, Mr. Hayes, would you like your cinnamon bun cheesecake today? And I say, oh, how did you know? And I want you to understand something. As we're thinking about cake, what makes a good cake? Ingredients? What about consistency? What if the cake is good one day, but then the next day it's like, something's off? See, I want you to understand, if you don't realize that we are all just like cakes. See, we all had ingredients that we had to use to become the people that we desire to be. And if you didn't know, I want to tell you a secret. You can't bake a cake in a cold oven. So what that means to me is that sometimes you're going to have adversity. And adversity is that oven that's going to help you rise. That adversity is going to be that one thing that's going to help you become the person that you desire to be. See, because without that oven, there's no cake. Because something has to mix these ingredients together. So when you see cake, most people just see the final product. They don't see when you go home, you're sad. When you go home, you burned out because you're a social worker by day, but then you're super mom or super dad by night. You're always the person that people call in. They have problems, they call you. They don't call anybody else, they call you. So not only are you going to work to get paid, now you're going to work and you're not even getting paid for it. Because you think, because of my heart is so big, I got to take care of everybody else. But why not take care of you? So again, I want to ask you, what makes a cake? I heard someone say ingredients. Now, I don't know if you ever had flour by itself, but is flour by itself pretty good? No, it's nasty. What about an egg? Is that good? Like not scrambled, just like a raw egg, just like boom. No. Or even butter. If you ate butter, it's almost like, what is this? See, I want you to understand that if you focus on the negatives, if you don't know how to combine those ingredients, of course it's going to be nasty. Oh, I had a bad day at work. And guess what you do? You keep that bad day going. And now you had, now I'm frustrated. You making me mad. I woke up on the wrong side of the bed. Why not change your ingredient? Why not add some sugar? Why not add this thing to your cake? See, a lot of us allow bad moments to affect our day. And now we're mad at everybody else. Now we're pointing the finger. Oh, it's your fault. Oh, you should have never did this. Oh, I don't like when they say this. Oh, here's my favorite excuse. Well, I just knew I was going to have a bad day, so why can't you know you had a good day? Why can't you say, hey, I'm going to have a good day today? Yeah, my tire is flat. Okay, that's okay. I can change it. I can call somebody to fix it. See, I'm going to turn around. I don't want to judge y'all. How many of us, when we know our car is on E, and we telling ourselves, I know my car. I got 15 miles. I'm going to make it. I'm going to make it. I'm going to make it to my destination. And we all can relate to that. But the truth is, you may know your car, but you don't know what's on that road. You don't know the barriers that you may run into. My boss is in here, so I ain't going to talk too much. If y'all don't know, I'm also a social worker. I work at a medical center, a cancer center. I love what I do. And here's why I say my boss is in here, I'm not going to say too much. Because sometimes when you're running a little late, you're nervous, you're trying to hurry up, you're about to run through the lights, you're like, oh, I can't be late. But why didn't you just get up a little earlier to get to your destination? Why didn't you just say, hey, let me give myself some grace? A lot of times we don't give ourselves grace. A lot of times we make a mistake, we punish ourselves. We hold it in. As I told y'all before, And now I gotta take this apron off, it's getting hot in here. As I told y'all before, I might get stuck. As I told y'all before, cinnamon roll cheesecake is my favorite. Now I know we got a very diverse crowd, but do y'all remember the cinnamon challenge? We got a few. So here I am at 16 years old. Got my little spoon, got my cinnamon. My brother asked me, hey, you ready? And at that time, we didn't have an iPhone, we had an LG chocolate. I'm pouring the cinnamon on the spoon, not realizing, because I love cinnamon sticks, cinnamon toast crunch, cinnamon rolls, cinnamon cheesecake. I love cinnamon, so cinnamon's not gonna be bad, right? And as I began to pour, as I put the cinnamon in my mouth, it was at that moment I knew I messed up. Whoosh! Cinnamon dust went everywhere. And as I ran to the sink, I realized that as I'm trying to get it off, it got nastier. So now I'm like, what is going on? I'm conflicted. How can a baker take something that's bitter and make it better? See, y'all didn't catch that. When I have a bitter moment in life, when I'm struggling, when I'm ready to quit, instead of saying, oh, I give up, how am I going to make this better? How am I going to say, you know what? Yeah, that happened to me. But I'm going to take advantage of this as an opportunity to grow. Now, after that, I told myself, I'll never eat cinnamon by itself again. I learned my lesson. You ain't got to tell me twice. But I will tell you, what happens when life gives you cinnamon? Now, I want to play a little game. I don't think y'all can do it. I'm just going to be honest with you. I don't think y'all can do it. Here's why. Here's what's going to happen. I'm going to go tell somebody 3 ingredients. They're going to have to share it with somebody else. And we're going to see if we can get to the end of the room and they have our ingredients. But here's what I'm going to tell you where we're going to fail. We're going to fail because, 1, somebody's not going to be paying attention. 2, somebody's going to have their little sidebars. 3, so because we already know what's going to happen, right? See, why are we already thinking so negative? See, why are we already thinking so negative, right? I know you may think, oh, well, Rashad said we're not going to get it, so you already gave up. So again, here's the rules. I'm going to give you 3 ingredients. I'm going to start on one side. You tell your neighbor. Again, no repeating. You might get a prize. You might be $1 million under your table. I don't know. So this is what we're going to, you know what? I'm going to pick somebody I know that's not paying attention so I can go ahead. I can go ahead and win my my undefeated side. So let me see. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Okay, let me see. Oh, y'all locked in now. So before we even get started, why does it take me saying how serious it is for you to lock in and do what's best for you? Because there's going to be lessons within this game. And it wasn't until I said, oh, y'all are not going to do it, that you finally said, okay, I need to be paying attention. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to start on this side. And I'm going to give you 3 ingredients. You're going to give it to your neighbor. And as we're going through this process, don't be nervous. You might be distracted by me. I may be purposely messing you up. I don't know. We're just going to see what we can do, and then we'll talk about what we learned. So I'm going to start with you. And I know I'm mic'd up, so y'all might be cheating, so I'm going to try to whisper. Butter, sugar, flour. And no writing it down. Alrighty, we just got started. And now you pass it to your neighbor. See, as we're going through this process, I want you to think about life, all the responsibilities that you're juggling. And now I just added one more stressful thing to your plate. Are we going to panic? Or are we going to do well? See, because most people think it's their boss' job to give you a reason to have self-care. Most people think it's your job's responsibility to say, hey, go take care of you. That is not the case. So we're going to see how much you can juggle. As I'm talking, maybe I'm distracting you. Maybe I'm just, going with the flow. It's getting a little shaky. But no need to be nervous. It's going to be okay. We're going to make it. I got faith in y'all. See, one thing I'm loving is how y'all leaning into each other, meaning that you have to rely on each other, right? And then you got to rely on the next person to communicate it effectively. Now, Mr. Wayne, what you going to do, brother? I think you got it. Uh-oh. No need to be nervous. It's just a little game. It's not like we don't do this. We got social workers in the building, a lot of social workers. We're used to this, right? We're used to people just throwing stuff at us, and we got to figure it out. I believe doctors believe we're like magicians. I believe, everybody just say, hey, abracadabra, and we make it work. Man, y'all are getting nervous. You're smiling. Man. And I feel sorry for whoever has to go back there. And like I said, just think about it. No pressure at all. Nope, don't repeat it. Uh-oh. I'm scared to see what y'all are finna say. Goodness. No pressure, right? Go ahead and pass it. That means somebody wasn't paying attention. All right, now you're going to follow, and you're going to start with this row right here. Now here's where it's going to get tricky, because you've seen so many other people has had it before y'all had it. So it's going to get tricky here. No pressure at all. No pressure at all. Y'all think it's already messed up here? Yeah. So this is what I'm going to do. How many people think it's already messed up? Okay, so we're going to stop the game right here. This is what we're going to do. So I want you to stand up for me, and I'm going to get close to you so you can tell what was the 3 ingredients that you heard.
Lavender, cinnamon, and butter.
Okay, pause. Now I'm going to go back to the front, and now we're going to see if it's right. You could be right, it could be wrong. So what was that? Lavender, cinnamon, and butter? Now, if you don't mind standing up for me, what was the 3 ingredients that I told you?
Butter, sugar, and flour.
So I got a question. What happened? Where did lavender come from? Where did lavender? So 1 second. Who heard lavender? Did y'all hear lavender? Okay. Did y'all hear lavender? Okay. So did you hear lavender? Did you hear the word lavender? Did somebody tell you lavender? No. No? Okay. Uh-oh. Did you hear lavender? It was you. We found her. So, let me tell you the lesson that comes from that. I'm going to tell you a quick lesson that came from that. It was a fun game, but it was so much pressure because you had to rely on the next person to get it right. But you didn't know if it was right or wrong. You just had to trust that what they told you was the ingredients. So if somebody tells you, hey, you should do this for self-care, it may not work for you. You may have to try something else. I don't know how lavender it tastes in the cake, but we tried. So I want to ask you all, and for the people in the back that didn't get to play this game, I'm nervous to see what you would have said. So what did we learn? What did we learn from just that brief interaction? Oh, y'all scared to talk to me now? I made you lose the game, now you scared of me? So this is what I tell you, the first thing. As you all were going through this process, I was purposely talking to you. I made sure to talk to you. See, because sometimes you can't control what's coming in your ear when you're trying to focus on the stuff you need to do for you. All right, let me make this make sense. Sometimes when I get off work tends to follow me home. And I find myself working off the clock, And now I'm burnt out. And then I got to get up and I got to go back to work to do the same thing. All because I didn't know how to just stop, tune it out, and focus on what I needed to focus on. Sometimes we make self-care hard. We make self-care challenging. And it's all because we don't take the time to just focus on what we need to do. Now, didn't you have a friend that was right beside you?
Yeah, I think she got scared.
Yeah, I figured that. Okay, I figured. Now I'm messing with you. So, I want to talk to you about recipes. What makes a recipe important? Now, I know if I said I give you $20 if you give me the answer, somebody will scream out something. Ingredients, okay, directions. Does anybody ever have that one grandma that has that one famous cake that nobody in the family can recreate, only grandma? But grandma doesn't have it written down. She got it in her head. And so, when grandma, whenever, it's time for grandma to go to the next level, guess what? That cake's going too. Because we don't take the time to write down the recipes. Why is it that we could talk about our bad days, but we don't write down when we had a good day? We don't write down what made a good day a good day. We don't say, hey, today was a great day. Okay, why? And then I realized many of us don't understand our why. See, most people say, hey, you got to know your why. And I'm going to tell you what why is. What helps you? What helps you? And when you understand what helps you, you understand how to get through those tough times. You understand how to push through. You understand how to become the best version of you because you understand your why. Why is more than just a word. It can be a lifestyle change. How many people struggle with self-care? If we're being honest, how many people struggle with self-care? Oh, so the rest of y'all got it? All right, well, hey, you want to come do this presentation since you're the self-care expert? Come on. Nah, I'm messing with you. But here's the thing. If you're struggling with it, that's also your strength because you can identify something that you're not good at. Most people will trick themselves to thinking that self-care, that they can handle anything, but then when life gives that cinnamon, what do? We break. We crumble. Most people don't know something's wrong with the car until that engine light come on. Well, our bodies do the same thing. Ooh, I almost fell off the stage. But now, I got to make you laugh. I got to make you laugh. But on a serious note, when we don't understand how or why, we are now putting ourselves at risk of hitting rock bottom without having a parachute. So not only is self-care the icing, it's like a parachute. Because we never know when life is going to happen. I can promise you that. We never know. So I told y'all we was going to talk about cinnamon again. Now, besides being this adorable little kid, I grew up in a situation where I was the oldest. My mom was a single mother. My siblings, we didn't share the same dad. We either had the same mom or the same dad. And because I was the oldest, I was responsible for taking care of everybody else. I lived in a neighborhood where I would see women wear dresses and they would stand on a corner and for some odd reason they would get in a car with somebody and I thought they would need a ride, but then they'd just go in a circle and then they get dropped off. I didn't know what that was as a kid. I lived in a neighborhood where it was easier to buy drugs than it was to buy food. I lived in a neighborhood where there was a liquor store on every corner. So it wasn't a childhood for me. It was up to me to make sure I protected my siblings. And then I forget to mention my mom worked 2 jobs. So when mom was working 2 jobs, that left me in charge to cook food. And there was only so many times we could eat hot dog Alfredo. You never heard of it, right? Yeah, I got creative. Put some ramen noodles in, boil some hot dogs, chop up the hot dogs, put some cheese on it. I wouldn't recommend doing this now. But if you ever have to survive, I could teach you a few things. But as I got older, I realized that I never had a childhood because I spent majority of my life taking care of everybody else. So I didn't even know how to take care of me. I didn't even understand what it was to put me first. Because all my life I was taking care of everybody else. And then I found sports. And I was just happened to be a good athlete. Basketball was my first love, and I said, man, I'm going to make it to the NBA. Clearly, you see I'm here. And as I would wake up, because I was so dedicated, I would get up at 5 in the morning and practice at a young age. Oh, I got to make it. I got to make it. I got to get the family out of this neighborhood. I got to make it. And I would put all this pressure on me. And as I began to grow, I started to explore football because I was feeling this frustration and anger, but I didn't know how to express it. And then you get to tell me I get to hit you and I don't get in trouble? Oh, sign me up. And I'm from a place called Enterprise, Alabama. And in Enterprise, football, we may not always been good recently, but back in the day, we were pretty good, okay? But football was king. And so everybody wanted to be a wildcat. And so I started training for football. Well, one day, as I got older, as I went along to the 8th grade, I realized I had started to do summer workouts. So I couldn't go with mom and my siblings when they went on their annual trip to Florida. I had to stay. And so my great-grandma comes to pick me up, takes me to practice. She then takes me home and says, and I tell grandma, I said, hey, grandma, you know I got responsibilities. Can I walk back to the house and can I do laundry? And I'm going to let y'all know now, grandma, if you're watching this, I'm sorry. I wasn't going home to do laundry. I was 14 years old. I had the internet to my hands. I'm like, hey, okay, y'all didn't get that joke. We're going to leave that alone. So I go to the computer, and again, I'm not going to incriminate myself, but I know y'all know about LimeWire. Yeah, you used to download illegal music. Yeah, they're over here, officer, right there, right in the back. But I'm on the computer. I hear a knock on the door. I immediately started crying. I thought I was going to jail. Remember, I'm 14. My friends can't drive. So who is at my door? So again, I walk. And as I creep, I hold my breath. I look through the peephole. There's a man with a brown hat, a brown shirt, and a badge. I'm going to jail. Immediately, I just slid down and said, you know what? I'm going to wait till he leaves to see what he wanted. As I opened the door, I saw a word I had to Google, eviction notice. It didn't make sense to me. So something said, hey, go check the mailbox. And as I walked to the mailbox, there was another note. It was a card from the landlord that said, hey, your family has not paid rent in 3 months. You need to get your stuff and go. Immediately, I thought it was my fault. Immediately, I thought I was the reason why my mom couldn't pay the bills. She was working 2 jobs. I'm growing. I'm eating all the food. It must be me. It got to be me. And so my mom comes down, and she comes back from vacation, and I walk to my mom. I say, Mom, I love you, but I can't go with you. Now, we're from the South, right? If you talk back to your mama, what's going to happen? My mama didn't do that. For some reason, she looked at me and she said, okay, baby, I'll let you stay with your great-grandma. And so she takes me to the attorney. She gives my great-grandma the power of attorney. I'm like, yes, I get a room to myself. I don't have to struggle. I'm here. But then guess what? I get a phone call. It's my dad. See, my dad, I only got to see him during the summers from 0 to 15. And he calls me and he says, hey, son, we're packing up and we're moving to Enterprise. And I'm looking at the phone like, man, you messing up my room. I finally got my own room, and now here you are moving. It was bittersweet for me because I was the man of the house. And now I get an actual man coming to the house. And so they proceeded to move down. And again, I'm a little older, so you can't tell me anything. I told y'all about Wildcat football. There was a game. The best thing to do in middle school was to put on your best outfit,
spray on the cheap cologne, drown yourself in it, and you go to the game and you go just be with your friends and you have a good time. Well, he tells me, meet me at the car at halftime. Y'all thought I was finna do that? No. I wanted to be with my friends. And so as I go through this process, I realize when the game is over, the buzzer sounds, I look for the car, it's gone. Oh, he left me. But I'm so stubborn, I'm so used to doing everything by myself, I said, you know what? I'm gonna make you suffer. I'm gonna walk home, and I'm gonna make you worry. And he ended up coming back around to come pick me up. And the first thing I end up telling him is, why didn't you want me? Why didn't you fight for me? Why is it that I only saw you in the summer? Before you know it, I started having this traumatic experiences, and I'm just giving it all to him. And I know what caught him off guard. But I had to pour my heart out because I was holding on to it for so long that I didn't know how to release. Again, this is why self-care is important. Because if you don't take care of you, you're going to bleed on people that didn't cut you. If I would have went to my father and said, hey, Father, what happened? Let me hear your side of the story. I'm pretty sure he would have told me. But because I tried to internalize and hold everything in myself, I ended up exploding. Now, granted, it worked out. But that was a bitter moment that I had to make better. One thing I always tell people is sometimes as adults, we're speaking from that inner child. And if that inner child is not healed, that inner child is going to begin to make decisions for you. That inner child is going to then speak for you. When are we going to let go of that inner child and allow that child to grow? And that starts by taking care of us. So as years go on, I began to excel in football. Started to have a couple of preferred walk-on offers, a few scholarship offers. And one day, before I decided to go on an official visit to a school in South Carolina, I ended up going to the mailbox. And as I went to the mailbox, if y'all couldn't tell, I was a nosy kid. You know, they say curiosity killed the cat. Yeah, I must be a cat. I got 9 lives, though, because I got my feelings hurt a lot going to the mailbox. But as I went to the mailbox, you know, at this time I'm living with my dad, my stepmom, and his group of kids. And I'm like, okay, I got a little piece. But as I went to the mailbox, I looked and I saw a letter. And I knew not to open the mail, but I had a trick. Hold it to the sun, and I could figure it out. And so I'm holding the letter to the sun. And it says bankruptcy. Immediately, oh, this is my fault. They moved the family down here for me. This is my fault. So whatever I do, I knew they couldn't pay for my school. I got to commit to the school. I'm not going to tell them I'm going to make this decision because I know they can't do it. And so we make this drive to South Carolina. Everything is great. The coach tell you, hey, Hayes, we're going to offer you a full ride scholarship. Oh, I said, okay, I commit. He didn't have to say nothing else. I didn't know nothing about the school. I just knew it was a full ride. So I commit. As I commit to the school, going into my freshman year, I realized I made a mistake. So I started doing my research. I started trying to figure out, okay, where can I go and play football? Now look, I was smart. I knew I wasn't good enough to play at Alabama. Okay, let's go ahead and say that. I knew I wasn't good enough to play at Auburn. So that left UAB. And UAB wasn't the best team back then, so I'm like, oh, I'm about to get my scholarship. I had my plan. I said, I'm going to write these goals down, I'm going to work for a year, and I'm going to walk on to the team. So I transferred to UAB. As I transferred to UAB, I decided, hey, I need to get a job. I started working as a barista. Can you imagine this big old buff football player telling you, hey, your chachi latte is ready? Well, hey, we have a frappuccino for Mike. And I just had my little apron on and just smiling. And as I was going through this process, I realized something. Am I really doing what I love to do? Why am I even doing this? Do I even want to play football? Okay, yeah, no, I do want to play. But what happens if things happen? What happens if life throws me cinnamon again? I just got evicted. We saw the bankruptcy letter. I'm here. What's going to happen now if something happens? Have I started thinking about my self-care? Did I know any benefits to my self-care? So when I'm talking to you about self-care, I'm talking to you from what I failed to do, so you don't make that same mistake. So here I am as a student at UAB, working, getting ready to try out for the team, and before you know it, the team gets cut. The year I'm going to try out, the year I'm going to make the team and get on scholarship to do what I love to do, is taken away from me. Did I have anything to fall back on? No. I didn't have a safety net. Self-care is more about when life knocks you down, it's that net that helps you get back up. It allows you to brush off the wounds, dust it off a little bit, recharge, and get back on. And so when I tell people self-care is a better understanding of you, and that oven, that heat, that frustration, that adversity is really saying, hey, I want to teach you something else about yourself. I want to show you who you can become. Because again, if you never put that cake in the oven, it can't rise. So your trials and tribulations, the things you've been through, is really there to help you. It also boosts your ability to deal with your stress. We all have stresses in life. Some of us just can't catch a break. All my life as an athlete, I had worked to get this one goal, and just like that, taken away from me. But it's one thing I didn't know. If I would have took care of my self-care, I would have gave myself my power. So you're the baker. You are the baker of your life. You have to learn how to take these ingredients, the good and the bad, and mix them together to become the person that you desire to be. You have to sit back and say, you know what? I got to do a better job. I can't rely on my boss to tell me to go take care of me. How is that even fair? That I'm spending all my time working and I only give myself 2 days in the weekend to take care of me. And if we're being completely honest, your weekends, you ain't taking care of yourself because now you're getting caught up on laundry. You're doing the grocery shopping. You're doing everything else, and you give yourself maybe 5 to 10 minutes. Maybe rooting for your favorite football team, but then now that's stressing you out. It's tough. And then I used to ask myself, why is it that it's stressing us out? And even if we use the football for analogy, we think about the Bamas, we think about the Auburns. We know the standard that they have. So when they're not performing to that standard, what we do? Oh man, it's the coach. Get them out of there. Oh, we don't have this. But what happens when people are looking at us? It's, oh man, they ain't taking care of themselves. It's not a priority. You cannot rely on somebody else to take care of you. You have to take care of you. Now listen, before we go on, I want to warn you, this is finna get real dark. This is finna get real cinnamon-like. I'm letting you know now. How many are familiar with this little machine right here? And if you're not familiar, there's a thing where it says, breathe in, hold your breath, breathe out. Breathe in, hold your breath, breathe out. The first time I recognized the air in my lungs was when I was laying on that table, trying to figure out what was going on with me. And fellas, you all can relate to this. When something is wrong, the first thing we do is we call them mama. Hey, mama, I'm not feeling well. My mom tells me, hey, baby, go to the hospital. I'm not thinking twice. I'm like, man, you see this six-pack? I'm good. I'm going to get in and I'm going to get out. And as I go to this hospital with a sense of arrogance, I mean, I had to walk down. I'm like, yeah, my name's Rashad. I'm just, not feeling well. I'm just here. And they roll me to the back. They put me on the machine. The machine tells me to breathe in and breathe out. And here's this sense of arrogance. And I'm like, oh, I'm fine. They just think I'm Superman. That's all. And next thing you know, I found myself in the room. And if you've ever been in the hospital, there's the remote. The sound comes from the remote. And so I got it on my ear, watching ESPN. The doctor came in and talked to me. Well, guess what, man? That doctor did a magic trick. Because instead of one doctor's, it became two. And at that moment, I knew something wasn't right. He comes in and he touches my leg. He says, Mr. Hayes, we need to admit you. And I'm like, admit me? Admit me for what? It was like, we just need to run some extra tests. Your PET scan didn't look too good. So I'm like, okay, whatever. I call my parents. I immediately tell my parents, hey, don't worry about anything. I'm in the hospital, but I'm going to be okay. I was up in the hospital for a week. And as I laid in the bed, I had doctors that would walk all around me and treat me like I was an alien. I'm pretty sure if you see another person that looked like me, it's probably my clone, because they took so much blood. I was like a push pin. I knew exactly, hey, it's this vein right here. Just come take it. You good to go. And they would wake up and they would just look at me and say, hey, we don't know what's going on. Until one day I'm laying in the bed. This hospital in particular had this visual cues and it had this screen. And the screen said oncology. So I did what everybody else would do. Hey, Siri, what's oncology? Next thing I know, Siri like, doo-doo. Oncology is the study of cancer. And I'm like, no, hold on. Hey, Siri, what's oncology? And so I go through this process. A surgeon comes in and he says, hey, we need to have a surgery. But here's the thing, we got to cut your stomach. No, not my six-pack. I worked so hard to get it, and now you're going to cut it? So we have this surgery. They pull out the tissue. The day before my birthday, December 15th, 2015, he calls me, and he says, hey, you're good to go. Now I'm mad, because now you just cut me for no reason. And so now I'm on this roller coaster ride. Oh, man, I thought it was cancer. I'm good. Nothing to worry about. But why did it take something so negative for me to realize my own breath? Why do we wait till things fall down before we begin to live? You don't have to have money to live. Next thing you know, we go into 2016. I finally recovered from the surgery. I get a call from my mama. Hey, baby, the doctor said they ain't been able to reach you. Mama, ain't nobody been calling me. Yes, ma'am, I'll call them back. I give them a call back and they tell me, hey, we need to do another surgery. We didn't get a big enough tissue. But this time, they really wanted to mess me up. They say, we're going to cut you 5 inches up from your belly button. I said, oh, well, y'all already messed up my six-pack, so I'll tell people I got into a fight with a shark, and it is what it is. So I began to have this surgery. Immediately after I have this surgery, the doctor calls me and says, hey, I don't know how I can say this, but you need to come in. So I'm like, man, this is not real. You're not finna play with me. You just told me I was good. And now you're gonna come in this room, look me in my eyes, and tell me I have cancer. And not only do I have cancer, it's so aggressive that I need to start chemotherapy real soon. So before we can even get to the next step, let's schedule this port so we can get you started. What? Boom, boom, boom. Life is throwing stuff at me. I told myself I never had that bitter moment with cinnamon again, but life is throwing stuff at me. Now I get a cancer diagnosis. I already lost football. I already lost it. And now you're telling me I got to fight for my life? Something that I can't see? Something that I got to rely on you? Before you know it, I found myself writing a suicide note. I'm sorry. All my life I took care of everybody else, but I never knew how to take care of me. This is something I never faced before. Maybe this is the end, or maybe this is the beginning. I'm sorry. Forgive me. I love you. My little brother was in the living room. The same little brother I promised that I was going to come back and get you. And here I am thinking about taking my life. And at that moment, I realized, you know what? Let me get on Facebook. Let me just tell my story. And I'm a man of faith, and I don't want to offend anybody, but I'm a man of faith, and I knew that was God telling me, hey, no, this is not it. Because then I started thinking, how is my brother going to respond for the person that's been taking care of him all his life is willing to take his own? And so I get on Facebook, I tell my story, and it goes viral. And I'm like, y'all are weird. I tell y'all I have cancer, and y'all are liking it and saying stuff. I'm like, okay, this is different. But then before you know it, I found out that I had to go through this because it was meant for me to teach somebody else how to get through their situation. And so let me make this personal to you. When you learn to take care of you, the ones that are watching you are going to learn to take care of themselves. The suicide rate is high for a reason, because we don't talk about what we do to take care of us. So we leave it to somebody else to try to learn how to do it when we could be giving them our recipe and they could customize it and make it our own. We make it harder than what it has to be. Now, as you can see, that one incident allowed me to become the person I am today as a speaker, so I'm grateful for it. Because I said before, you can't bake a cake in the cold oven. And I realized I needed that heat. I realized that this was a part of me. But what I didn't understand was what it was really going to do to me. Because I went from being a collegiate athlete to fighting for my life. Not only was I fighting for my life at 22, I then learned that the type of cancer I have is something I'm going to always fight, and it's something called follicular lymphoma. And if you look it up, they say there's no cure. And I could have gave up at that moment, but I told you I'm a man of faith. I started taking care of myself. I started realizing when I'm hooked up to this machine, I don't want to wait till then to live. I remember my first day of chemotherapy, like it was yesterday. I walked in the office, Rashad Hayes. I stand up. Can you verify your date of birth? I say 12/16/93. And she asked me a question. She said, do you know why you're here today? I said, yeah, I'm here for cancer treatment. She asked me, she said, hey, do you have a port or an IV? And when she asked me if I had a port or an IV, y'all remember Charlie Brown's? All I heard was wah, wah, wah. Because at that moment, I realized that this was my reality. This was really about to happen to me. So I'm going to tell you, I'll give y'all a cheat code. Before chemo allowed me to be bald, I thought I was going to beat it, right? I said, I'm going to shave my own head. Now what? I didn't know it was going to take my eyebrows. So when my eyebrows started thinning and falling out, I said, Lord, what is happening to me? Because I thought I was going to one-up it. But I didn't know what I was dealing with. So many times in life, we think, I got the solution for this. But then when it fails, can we go back to it and learn from it? My first day of chemotherapy at this hospital in particular, there were no rooms that divided us. There was no curtains. So I'm looking at you, you looking at me. But for some reason, when I walked in, everybody was looking at me. But then it hit me. See, everybody else was older than me. And when they saw me walk in, they said, hey, what is that baby doing in here? And so I made a lot of friends. They said, hey, baby, you get this orange. Hey, eat this. They were willing to tell me their recipes of how they got through that tough situation. I remember I had just had a fresh Superman tattoo. It was so fresh, when they checked my blood pressure, the ink went on the cuff. I said, I'm sorry. But then it began to get even darker for me, because as I'm sitting down, there's a lady in front of me that's getting the same drugs I'm getting, and all I hear is, cold blue, cold blue. And they had to rush her to the emergency room. And I never saw her again. And you mean to tell me I got to sit here and the same thing that's going in her body is going in mine? Was it any regrets because I have yet to take care of myself? See, I'm not going to talk about you. I'm going to talk about me because only you know your story. But I don't want you to live your life in regret saying, man, I wish I would have lived a little bit more. I wish I would have took that vacation. I wish I would have took that walk. I wish I would have made that call. Many of us wait till we're at the very bottom before we can do anything. And as I'm going through this process, as I'm trying to figure out, as I'm trying to understand why is this happening to me, I went back to saying, you know what? What helps me? Okay, mine was helping others. Okay, let's go deeper than that. Okay, why do I like helping others? Excuse me. Because maybe I wanted to be that person that I wish I had when I was going through. I wanted to be my own superhero. Because if I could save myself, if I could take care of myself, if I could provide self-care to myself, I'm able to then say, you know what? Hey, it's not going to take me much to help you. Instead, it's like a water faucet that I'm pouring into myself, and that water, the overflow, is going into you. Because if I stop pouring into me, if I stop taking care of me, eventually my water is going to run out. And now we're both suffering. At some point, we got to be willing to acknowledge our own recipes, acknowledge our own self-care, and say, you know what? This is bigger than me. If I love the people I love like I say I do, I'm going to take care of me. And if anybody says, you don't spend time with me anymore, those people don't have your best interests at heart. They see you as an individual that give. Because if anybody tells me, hey, why don't I see you anymore? I know you be doing your own thing, but why don't see you anymore? Why are we even having that conversation? Why are you focusing on my oven in my kitchen? I know you saw my apron said don't burn your cake. So if you're not focusing on your own oven, if you're not focusing on your own self-care, if you're worried about Susan was just in Dubai, Susan was just in this, you're over here saying what everybody else is doing instead of working on you, and you could be in Dubai. You could be doing whatever you want to do. But you're so busy allowing work, people, stress to put you in this box. How many of y'all like homemade cakes? Okay, we got a few. And how many of y'all like box cakes? Nothing wrong against box cakes. But you can tell the difference. That homemade cake to that box cake, there's no limit to that homemade cake. Now that box cake, if I'm running late on time, I can hurry up and get it done. So sometimes in life we got to have a longevity self-care plan, and we may have to have a little short one. Okay, hey, I know I got to work all this week, but let me go ahead and book this vacation for 2024, and I'm going for a week, and I'm going to do what I love to do. And that's going to be my me time. In the meantime, every Saturday when I wake up, I'm going to go for a walk. I'm going to have my quiet time. You see, you build on it. It takes 45 minutes to make a cake, but we can probably eat it in 5. The process it takes to make it is always longer than the process it takes to eat it. Let me make that make sense. When we go through stuff, it's going to seem like forever. When we enjoy it, it's gone. Think about the weekend. We get so ready for Friday, and you blink, it's Monday. And you're like, man, it was just Friday. And I don't know if y'all have this experience, but it seems like when you at work, time goes slow. But when you at home or out with your friends, it's just a Maserati. So at what point are you going to take care of you? I don't want you to have to go through a life experience. Yeah, you saw the smile, but I was hiding so much because I was too busy trying to take care of everybody else. I didn't want to admit to myself that I was struggling. Instead, I would lie to myself, oh yeah, I'm good, I'm okay. So how can I get help when I can't even help myself? That smile still stayed. It never left me. But I was living a false reality. I would smile in people's face, but then when I'm alone by myself, the thoughts were coming, trying to figure out how was I going to take care of me. I thought it was everybody else's responsibility to take care of me. This is why self-care matters. Because life is going to throw you some cinnamon. Hey, that's my favorite song. Go ahead and let that play. Yeah. But on the serious note, life is going to throw you some cinnamon. But as I told you earlier, when a baker knows what he's doing with that cinnamon, he or she can then make it taste a little bit better. And it can be that secret ingredient. Like, there's people that put mayonnaise in their cakes. When I first heard it, I was like, that is nasty. But then I realized that's a secret ingredient because they understand what it does to make the cake what it do. I forgot to tell y'all, I got a master's degree in cakeology, okay? I got my bachelor's from my great grandma, but I got my master's from Food Network University. And I would love to watch those cooking shows. I'm like, okay, I'm taking notes. Let me try this. And I burnt a few cakes, okay? But at least I was willing to try. Some of us can't get into self-care because we're not even willing to try. We just say, you know what? Yeah, it is what it is. How can I'll take care of myself when I get all this money, when I pay all this off. But here's the thing. You're not going to have enough. If it ain't one thing, it's another. I got anybody that have kids in here? It's almost like when you paying for diapers, when you're paying for food, you're buying clothes, and it just seems like you just keep going. Now look, I don't have no kids, but I just imagine I'm living through y'all right now. But as we go through this process, it made me think about something. It's like an account. You got a checkings, you got a savings. When you're doing self-care, you're depositing into your savings account. So when bills are coming, when life is throwing stuff at you, you can pull from that savings account and still be okay. When you do self-care, you're investing in your savings, meaning that you are now saving yourself from having the lows of lows, and you're able to get right back up and say, hey, I got a rainy day fund, but here's my rainy day fund for my life when life gets hard. It's me taking care of me. It's times while being so broke, the only time I go on vacation is with memories. See, I'll teach y'all a trick. When I go somewhere, I'm memory. So when I feel like I need to go somewhere and I ain't got the money to do it, I sit back and I practice mindfulness. And I'm right back to where I used to be. Can smell everything, can taste everything. And then when you disturb me and I wake back up, I'm like, man, here we go. But this is why self-care matters. Also want y'all to know this is a lifelong battle for me. So every day I got to fight. This was recent, 2021. There's a vitamin they tell me to get on. It's called Rituxan. It's not a vitamin. It's immunotherapy. But they call it vitamin R. It's supposed to be the thing that helps me get back to normal. If I solely relied on that immunotherapy, I wouldn't be living. So it took me enjoying myself, enjoying my time, taking moments to say, you know what? I've been through this before. I don't want to make the same mistakes I made in the past. So let me use this moment to go enjoy the walk, to enjoy the sun just hitting me in my face, to enjoy the rain touching me. Do you know that you can turn any negative situation to a positive? It's like math class. A negative times a negative is a what? Oh, y'all ain't confident. I'm going to say it again. A negative times a negative is a what? Y'all might be sleeping on me. Let me go home. We got anybody that do CPR? I need to check the pulse in the audience. Something ain't right. But a negative times a negative is a positive. So when I'm having these tough moments, okay, what's the good in that situation? What's the beauty of it? See, a lot of us don't realize we're getting through situations. We're just complaining about we had to go through it, not realizing that we already got through it. We already have our solutions, but we fail to open our eyes and realize it's right in front of us. So it's time to understand that trials and tribulations are necessary. That's your oven. That's going to help you have your bakery. Because you need that heat to help you rise. You need those tough moments. And when you picture those tough moments and you picture those good moments, you can continue to create something that's so beautiful that it makes you you. It makes you you. So when people see me, some people say, hey, that's the cake man right there. That's Mr. Cake Man. Yeah, he's been through so much, but look how he's still smiling. He's taking care of himself. He looks good to be a cancer patient. See, because people will look what you go through, and they'll be admired. They'll admire you. They'll see your story and say, man, here we are. I just realized who you were. In undergrad, my master's program, you worked with me when I was going through cancer again. I want to tell you thank you. Because what you don't realize is you saw me. So I want to tell you thank you. You are the reason I'm here. And if it wasn't for what you did, I wouldn't be on this stage as a speaker. So I want to tell you thank you. Better yet, let's pause this for a second. Can I get a hug? So I want to say thank you. I just realized who you were. Thank you. Thank you. See, y'all don't realize, you never know when you're going to see people again. I was in literally the master's program trying to do an internship, trying to battle cancer, doing all this, and she looked at me and she said, yo, I got you. If I'm not mistaken, are you still working with the youth and the homeless? I never forget it. It's not a coincidence. So you never know how your story is going to influence somebody else. And her kindness is what influenced me. I can't make this up. But again, we also can't bake a cake in the cold oven. Now I know you may be wondering, when are we going to talk about cake? I had to give you the vegetable first. Now let's talk about cake. So cake is a methodology that I teach. And if you apply these 4 steps to your life, you're going to get through anything. So we're going to first start with C. Continue to learn. Every day is another day to learn something new about who you are. Because when you stop learning, you stop growing. If you stop watering yourself, it's like a plant. If you stop watering that plant, eventually that plant's not going to be there any longer. If you think what you used to do when you were 5 years old is going to suffice for you at 30, nah, you got to continue to learn. A, always love yourself. Always love yourself. That means I love myself more than I love the trials and tribulations. I love myself enough to say, hey, I'm going to take care of me. I love myself enough to put myself first. Because I understand when I take care of me, I can take care of everybody else. So when I say always love yourself, sometimes you got to give yourself a hug. Sometimes you got to give yourself a pat on the back. Sometimes you have to say, you know what? I look good today. You know what? I feel good today. Today is going to be a great day. K, know your worth. Your job description does not determine your worth. Your life responsibilities does not determine your worth. You know what determines your worth? You. You. Because if you think about it, somebody's going to think you're more valuable than what you think, and there's going to be people that don't think you're valuable at all. So if you're relying on somebody else to determine your worth, they're getting discounts on you. But when you define your worth and you say, you know what, I understand me, I understand my value, I know when I go places I can do this, and I know what I bring to the table, I'm going to focus on what I do. And if you see my worth, cool. If not, that's cool too. You have to know your worth or the world will label you. Oh, they just angry. Oh, they just frustrated. They're not a good worker. The whole time you got so many things that you're going through. And all they see is what you show them, but they don't see the stuff that you're really doing behind the scenes to still show up. You have to know your worth. I always tell people, one day you're going to look on TV and you're going to hear my voice again, and you're going to be like, man, he made it. See, because I see that. I know my worth. I'm not trying to be everybody's cup of tea. Some of y'all are messing up because you're trying to have everybody like you. If everybody can afford you, guess what? Are you, how does that look? If everybody had all right, let's be real. If everybody had a BMW or Mercedes-Benz, we wouldn't be inspired to go get more. We'll settle. Oh, that's average. So everybody is not supposed to like you. But you got to know your worth and know what you bring to the table. I tell people, I drive a little Sonata, but you can't tell me that. It's a Maybach. And the doors open up, it lights up. It really don't, but in my mind it do. I even got it in red so I can feel fancy. I told myself I'm gonna go to the car wash just to get it washed. So if people see me, they're gonna be like, oh yeah, he fancy. No, I ain't, but I know my worth. I envision myself having drivers and be like, hey, Jeffrey, where are we going today? And if you're driving in Birmingham, there's some crazy drivers in Birmingham. But because I know my worth, if I see you slow poking in the left lane, I'm gonna back off you, move out of the way, because I'm not gonna damage my car because you don't know what you're doing. So I'm gonna get out of the lane. See, some of y'all ain't catch that. You know the person you hanging with doesn't value themselves, but yet you still hang with them, and guess what ends up happening to you? You end up getting their worth. And now the world is defining you based off what they're doing. Instead of you being able to get in your own lane, yeah, it may be boring, it may be by yourself, but you know your worth, so you're protecting yourself. This, again, is why self-care is so imperative. And E, enjoy your life. Many of us spend so many times in life trying to change our lives that we begin to neglect our lives. We begin to say, oh, well, I'll do it then, and it ends up getting further away. I'm going to tell y'all a secret. If you stop chasing your dreams will come to you. Let me make this make sense. I have to make my dreams attracted to me. Am I doing what I need to do to make my dreams come to me? Because it's like the predator and the prey. If you chase something, it's going to run. If y'all start running right now, I'm not asking questions, I'm running. Then I ask y'all, what happened? I'm not going to sit up here and be like, oh, why y'all running? That's how they die in the scary movies. No. I'm going to run. But I'm also going to take the time to enjoy life. Sometimes you got to learn to laugh, even when you hit rock bottom. Sometimes you have to learn to say, you know what? Man, I'm going to be thinking about this 10 years, 20 years from now, and I'm going to think about how this situation made me who I am. Just like that beautiful moment we just shared. And that was, what was that, 10 almost? Hold on, it was 2019. No, excuse me. It was the beginning of 2017. So it was a couple of years ago, but I never forgot. You got to learn to enjoy your life. Because if you don't enjoy your life, what you're really doing is teaching the people that surround you that they can't enjoy their life either. Some of y'all grew up watching mom and dad work. All y'all saw was mom and dad work. Little do you know you're doing the same thing. You told yourself, I'm not going to be like them. And yet, here you are struggling to take care of you. You think self-care is coming and sitting on the couch and having you a cold beverage, whether that's wine or a nice cold beer. That's not self-care. And the reason why I say that's not self-care is because you're not doing what you truly wanted to do. You're doing what you feel like you had to do to alleviate that stress. There's a difference. See, when I do what I want to do, I have pride. I'm enjoying it. I'm smiling. I'm making memories. And I don't know about y'all, but my couch don't get too comfortable the longer I sit on it. I begin to kind of fall into it, and I get stuck, and now I got to be like, hey, I need help getting up, because that's not what I wanted to do. So you got to enjoy you. You have to take the time to enjoy your life, because when you learn to enjoy your life, you begin to understand the secrets that make you you. And if you work the equation backwards, okay, I enjoy my life. Okay, I understand my worth. Okay, I'm always loving myself. Okay, I'm going to continue to learn. So either way you are, you can go forward, you can go backwards. But I just want you to enjoy a slice of cake every day. That's all you got to do. And the good thing about this cake, it ain't going to make you gain weight. This cake right here will allow you to really see what the world has to offer you. Every time I feel like quitting, I think about being hooked up to the machine and having chemo just go into my veins. And now I get to be on stage and talk to you all and get to say, hey, I got to work with the University of Alabama. Then it's going to be a day I'm going to say, hey, I got to speak in Germany. I don't know German. I hope they speak English, but I'm going to be able to say that. And I want you to be able to dream and say, hey, one day I'm going to get to do this. See, some of y'all stop dreaming. And my question is, why? Why did we stop dreaming? As a kid, what was your first dream? And it could be crazy, it could be simple. What was your first dream, Mr. Wayne, as a kid? Do you remember?
My first dream was, I think it was probably well, it was really a dream or not, but to go to college.
Go to college.
My daddy was uneducated, and he started talking to me about going to college before I ever knew what that meant. And I wanted to please him. That was my first dream, I think.
Okay.
I knew I was going to go. I didn't, again, that's before I understood what it was.
Right.
See,
Now, who all know Mr. Wayne? So if you don't know, this is a social work legend. I found that out Monday, but I can see why they call you the social work legend. And the first thing he said was, I wanted to please my dad. My dream was to go to college. My dad didn't go to college. So what he did, he used his dad's recipe and he added something else to make it his own. And now they call him the legend of social work. Miss Christie, I'm coming to you. What was your first dream?
Probably to get married and have kids.
To get married and have kids. Did you accomplish that dream?
I did.
So what's your next dream?
I don't know.
Can I tell you what
I feel like I've lost my dream. It's like I've got to find what I'm passionate about again.
I'm going to tell you, you're already living your dream. When I met you, the first thing you said was, I want to see people enjoy the experiences that I enjoyed. Monday, you said you want to see people enjoy the experience of foster care when people can come back and say, hey, because of you, I made it. So to me, your dream is so big, you're helping so many people. Now you get to enjoy the icing of the cake. And now as you dream, you can relax knowing that you impacted so many people in this room. I'm going to tell y'all my first dream. I wanted to be the garbage man. And I said it just like that, the garbage man. Because as a kid, I thought it was so cool. They get to ride on the back of them trucks, and they ain't have to wear no seatbelt. They used to hang on the rail. They used to jump, get the garbage can, put it on. I'm like, man, I want to do that. And the first time I said that, I got laughed at. And I was like, okay, I don't want to be the garbage man no more. Why do we allow people to determine our dreams? Why do we allow people to say, you know what, you shouldn't do that? And I'm going to tell you the complete opposite. You should do it. In order for you to find your dreams, you got to find yourself doing something. The first time I ate sushi, I thought it was nasty. But then I kept trying it, and I realized, I like it. Then I learned, it's California rolls. There's so many other different types of sushi, so that meant that there was still so much more I had to discover. Well, I had to continue to learn about me. So again, continue to learn. Always love yourself. Know your worth, and enjoy your life. Eat some cake. Eat some cake. So I want to tell you, as that mirror, it's a simple question, ways to include self-care. Guess what? I got a big secret for you. I can't tell you that. You have to look at that mirror and say, hey, what makes me me? How do I take care of me? Because always remember, I've only been with you for the last 90 minutes. I don't know what you do when you go home. I don't know all the ingredients you work with. But today I hope if you'll eat some cake, you'll learn to look in the mirror. I gave you 4 easy steps to learn more about yourself. But some of y'all are scared of your own reflection. Some of us are scared of being called the failure. Some of us are afraid of doing what we need to do to become the best versions of us. We are afraid because some of us are still stuck in this mindset that I can't leave the people I love behind. You're not leaving them. You're paving the way. And at some point, if they really want it as bad as you do, guess what they're going to do? Follow. There's a quote that's on my arm that says, "Do not go where the path may lead. Go instead where there's no path and leave a trail." Some of y'all are meant to be trailblazers. Some of y'all are meant to do more. And in order to do more, you have to know what you're working with. You have to know what's in your kitchen. You think you can bake a cake in a pizza pan? No. As soon as you pour the batter in there, it's going to go right through, and now you got a mess in your oven. So you got to sit back and identify, what do I have? What can I do to become the person I desire to be? What am I working with? What is my recipe? What are my pots and pans? What are my plans? You can't make a strawberry cheesecake without any strawberries. Many of us are trying to make peanut butter jelly sandwiches with a butter knife and a spoon. Well, all we got is a spoon. And now you're mad because you don't have a butter knife. You know what? Let me make this make sense. You're trying to live your life based off somebody else and what they're doing, instead of realizing, you know what? I don't have all of that. So how can I make the best with my ingredients, with my tools? How can I make the best out of this situation? And when I learned to do that, I learned to become the best version of me. I want to be able to sit back, just so I can say Mr. Wayne is a legend in social work. I want to be able to come back. I may not remember your name, but I want to be able to say, hey, they did it. Hey, they just got this research. Hey, they just saved 50,000 kids. Hey, they just did that. I'm pretty sure Sasha reminded you that you all are the hero. And when I had a chance to meet and talk with Sasha, you would have thought we was brothers and we known each other all our lives. But we realized something. We cannot do this without you. I can't do this without you. I'm going to really get to go home and brag to my friends that I got to speak to some of the social workers, and I got to be on the big stage. And even though it's not my first time doing it, I still brag about it because, again, I know that you all are going to take this piece of cake and start to enjoy it every day and become the person that you desire to be. Now, as I begin to wrap up, I want to let you know you cannot bake a cake in the cold oven. So you got to stop running. You have to embrace this heat and realize it's going to help you become the person that you desire to be. I'm also going to tell you, I'm going to challenge you. What are you going to do to make yourself a better version of you? What are you going to do to include self-care in your life? Because these 90 minutes of me spending time with you, it ain't going to change much if you don't go out there and put in the work. If you don't go out there and put in the work, I gave you the tools. But what are you going to do? I'm going to be honest, some of us going to go out and we're going to go right back to our old stuff. We're going to get burned out. We're going to blame it on the job. We're going to leave the job. We're going to get another job and realize it's that same cycle over and over. So y'all know what I'm talking about, right? When are we going to break that cycle? So whether you have to travel back home today, or whether you're in Birmingham, or whether you're just right up the street in Tuscaloosa, I need you to promise me that you would take the time to enjoy your cake. Take the time to see the value of you. Because if you don't, not only are you letting yourself down, you're letting those that look up to you down as well. Self-care is bigger than you. But your recipe is going to be the one thing that sets somebody else free. With that being said, I want to let y'all know how to keep in contact with me. This is a little newsletter. You scan the QR code. After you scan your QR code, you're going to get this email, right? once you get this email, you're going to get a free guide that's going to help you start the process of self-care. Because I know it's a touchy subject. You don't want to be the one that don't know how to take care of yourself. I get it. But now you got it with your email. I seriously couldn't do this without you all. And I want you to understand, self-care starts with you. So let's make sure you become the best version of you. Let's make sure that you are passing down good habits to the people that look up to you so we can keep these recipes going. I'm here to be your friend, your ally, whatever I can do to help you. I wear the apron for a reason, because we can customize any cake to fit your needs. Keep your head up, keep believing, and even if you haven't heard this before, I want you to know I love you, I'm proud of you, and you matter. It's time to take care of you.